What if I told you that Johnny Depp, one of the most famous and recognized actors in the world, once shared something so personal and human that it feels like he was speaking directly to the heart of every person listening? He said, "I've known many loves, but this one stays forever." Think about those words for a moment. A man who has lived a life most of us can only imagine, filled with fame, fortune, heartbreaks, scandals, and incredible highs, still admits that out of all the loves he has experienced, one remains permanent. One has refused to fade with time. One has left a mark that even the chaos of life cannot erase. That makes you pause, doesn't it? Because it immediately sparks a question in your own mind: who is that one for me? The truth is, every one of us, in our own way, has lived through love stories. Some of them were short and fiery, burning bright and then fading into smoke. Some were steady, lasting years, shaping us slowly. Others ended too soon, leaving us with a wound that never fully heals. But almost everyone has one story, one connection, one person, that stays in their heart no matter how much time passes. And hearing Johnny speak so honestly about his own version of that reminds us that love works the same way for all of us, whether you're a Hollywood star or just someone trying to get through the ups and downs of everyday life. Johnny's life has been anything but ordinary. The world knows him as Captain Jack Sparrow, Edward Scissorhands, the Mad Hatter, and so many other unforgettable characters. But behind the roles and the costumes, behind the cameras and the lights, is just a man. A man who has stumbled through relationships, who has been lifted up by love, who has been shattered by heartbreak, and who, like everyone else, carries the memory of someone who will never leave his soul. He has had many loves. We've seen the headlines. The fiery romances with women who were themselves stars, the quieter loves that stayed more private, and the heartbreaks that became public news. People love to follow the drama, but the truth is much simpler than the gossip. Like all of us, Johnny experienced the thrill of new love, the comfort of lasting love, and the ache of lost love. Some of those relationships were joyful, some painful, and many left behind lessons. But he admits, even with all the love stories in his life, there is one that has never left him. One that still lingers like a shadow in his heart. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because haven't you felt that too? Haven't you known many loves, but still carry one that stands apart from the rest? Maybe it was the first person who ever truly saw you. Maybe it was someone who loved you at your lowest. Maybe it was a love that never had the chance to grow, but left you forever wondering what could have been. We all have that one love. And that's why Johnny's confession feels so relatable. When he said those words, he wasn't talking about Hollywood glamour. He wasn't talking about perfection. He was talking about connection. The kind of bond that stays even when everything else fades. The kind of love that imprints itself on your soul so deeply that it becomes part of who you are. And here's the thing, it doesn't always make sense. You might move on. You might build a life without that person. You might even fall in love again. But deep down, a part of you still belongs to them. Now, people like to believe celebrities are different. They assume famous relationships are shallow, built for cameras, or destined to fail. They think stars like Johnny don't feel love the way the rest of us do. But isn't that a myth worth breaking? Because when you strip away the lights and the magazines, love is love. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, famous or unknown. It finds you, it lifts you, it wounds you, and it leaves its mark. Johnny's story proves that even in the most extraordinary lives, the most human truths still hold. It doesn't matter how much fame surrounds you. It doesn't matter how many fans adore you. It doesn't matter how many movies you make or awards you win. At the end of the day, every human being wants the same thing, to be truly loved. To be seen, not as an image, not as a character, but as themselves. And when Johnny speaks about the one love that never left him, you realize that the spotlight didn't shield him from longing. It didn't protect him from heartbreak. Fame might have given him a stage, but it never changed the beating heart inside his chest. And maybe that's why his words echo so loudly. Because deep down, we see ourselves in them. Think about your own life for a moment. Who is the one person who never left your heart? Maybe it's someone you haven't seen in years. Maybe it's someone you thought you let go of, but every once in a while, a song or a memory pulls them back into your mind. Maybe it's someone who shaped you so deeply that you can't imagine the person you are today without their love, even if they're no longer part of your life. That's what lasting love feels like. Johnny's story also reminds us of something important. The love that stays forever isn't always the easiest one. In fact, it's often the opposite. It's the love that challenges you, that breaks you open, that forces you to see parts of yourself you didn't know existed. It's messy, imperfect, and sometimes heartbreaking. But those are the loves that shape us the most. The ones that leave scars, yes, but also wisdom. The ones that remind us what it means to feel alive. Experts often say the same thing. Lasting love isn't about constant fireworks. It's not about grand gestures or picture-perfect moments. It's about patience. It's about trust. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. And sometimes, it's about knowing that even if the love doesn't last in reality, it will last forever in memory. That's why Johnny's words carry so much weight. Because they remind us that love's value isn't always measured in time, it's measured in impact. And here's something that most people overlook: the loves that stay forever don't always live in the big moments. They often live in the smallest details. A song you can't listen to without feeling them. A place that feels haunted by their presence. A smile, a scent, a look, tiny pieces of memory that sneak back into your heart when you least expect it. That's how love works. It hides in the details, and it refuses to let go. Maybe that's what Johnny meant. That the love that stayed with him wasn't just a grand story, it was in the little things that never faded. Because love isn't just about being with someone. It's about carrying them with you, long after they're gone. And here's something else to consider. The love that stays forever isn't always romantic. Sometimes it's a family member, a mentor, or even a friend. Someone whose presence changed you so deeply that their love became a part of your foundation. When Johnny spoke, you could hear that weight in his voice. He wasn't talking about passion alone. He was talking about connection in its purest form. That's what makes this story universal. Johnny Depp may be a Hollywood icon, but his heart beats like ours. His confessions remind us that love is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter who you are. Love comes for everyone. And when it leaves its mark, it stays. So let me ask you again, who comes to your mind when you think about that one love? Who is the person who shaped you so deeply that you'll never truly forget them? Maybe you smiled just now. Maybe your chest tightened. Maybe a memory rushed back that you haven't thought of in years. That's the power of love. It stays even when everything else changes. Johnny Depp's words remind us that love is not about how long it lasted in reality. It's about what it left behind. It's about the memories that never fade, the lessons that never die, and the invisible threads that tie us to another soul long after they've gone. That is the kind of love that stays forever. And maybe you have your own version of that. Maybe it's a story you don't tell anyone. Maybe it's something you hold quietly in your heart. But it's there. It always will be. Because love like that doesn't disappear. It doesn't fade with time. It becomes part of you. And that's why Johnny's confession feels less like a celebrity quote and more like a truth we all carry. I've known many loves, but this one stays forever. Because in the end, that's what love is. Not the number of years. Not the perfect endings. But the mark it leaves on your soul. And no matter who you are, there will always be one love that refuses to let go.